The Power of Podcasting, or How Trying to Do One Thing Leads to Hurdles and Challenges that Result in an Unforeseen Vista of Possibility and Opportunity. This is a story about learning about the power of e-learning on the cheap. One day my principal tells me he has an idea. He says, "Hey, how about we do some podcasts?" And, as you can probably tell, apropos of nothing, he's from Wisconsin, though I do believe he drives a Camry nowadays. It didn't seem like much of a problem. We had all the tools we needed. MacBook, I had microphone, camera, I'd been doing video and audio resources for some time. We had all the necessary software, so it seemed like something that was pretty easy to get started. So first we rounded up some students. This should have been the harder part of the task, but it wasn't too difficult. There were a bunch of students who were interested off the bat, and others who could be made interested after talking with them about the project a little bit. So the next step was to make a bunch of podcasts. Our idea on this was along the lines of a television series. Something where we could have a recognizable brand for a podcast, and it would be about a certain thing. Our flagship, the DXB Cast, has over 100 episodes to date. The first problem was distribution. Originally, when we started, we thought we'd email it, but there's a difficulty in that. Audio is pretty large, and video is even larger. So when you send a video or audio file out to 1,000-odd people, it tends to take up a lot of server space, and mailboxes fill up really fast. So our first solution was uploading. We used PBWorks, which provides a wiki that is perfect for our purposes. We could upload the podcasts, get a download link for each one, and email the link to the podcasts, so that way it doesn't fill up all that server space. This led to another problem, archiving. From time to time, students or teachers would say, "Hey, where was this show or that show? I can't find it." And the only records of those shows would be in the email somewhere. And you didn't really know. And so finding old episodes was a problem. The solution was create a blog. So we created athspodcasts.blogspot.com. And what we have here is basically an archive of every podcast so that students can go back and watch them, download them, or send links to their friends so that they can take a look as well. Then we ran into problem number 3, people. Technology and people don't always mix. And there would be those who would click on it once, and if it didn't work, they would give up, throw their hands in the air and say, "Oh, it doesn't work." And well, that was a problem because we wanted people to watch these podcasts and listen to them. So our solution was to people-proof. We had to find a way to make it dead simple. Like a 2-year-old picking up an iPad and just pushing an icon and it just works. We had to come up with a similar way of making it just work. So cross-platform compatibility was our key goal. The result of this was an instant audience, where we would send out a podcast and we would not know who is watching. All of a sudden, because these podcasts are linked to a blog, we could get usage statistics. And since we'd made it easier for people to view, more people were viewing the podcasts we were sending out. The consequence of this was in classroom applications. In developing this infrastructure for storing and sending out podcasts, we created something that was perfect for use in the classroom. We could embed a video of a lesson, links to activities and assessments right there, and archive it. And this evolved to a small network of blogs for our English department, where we would put up our lesson videos, our activities, or links to different sites on the internet where we had something for the students to view or to read, and these resources were shared in common and archived online. As we further developed the network, this led to Google Docs integration. If you take a Microsoft Word document and just upload it to Google Docs, it becomes an instant web page that you can link to on the blog. So we could put up teaching objectives and lesson plans and anything teaching related and link to it there. And with the success of that little experiment in the English department, our principal came along and said, "Hey, what do you think about a school blog and for all the departments?" And because we'd already figured out how to set it all up and made it a pretty simple and easy process, it didn't seem like such a big deal. All of a sudden, we have this e-learning infrastructure, this large network of blogs that focus on departments at the school level and departments on the system level, with materials and resources that teachers both locally and across our entire system can share and use for their students in the classroom. All at a cost of $0. The blogs, free. The storage, free. Google Docs, free. The same sorts of learning management systems that universities will pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for, we were able to put up at a cost of nothing. And the best part is, it was constructed as a public good, meaning there was no marginal cost per user. So whether one person or 1,000 or 100,000 people were to use this, it would cost the same amount. And that cost was nothing. And it was also endlessly scalable. And all of this because one day my principal said, "Hey, how about we do some podcasts?" For more e-learning innovations like this, go to elearningworkroom.blogspot.com. I'm James O'Hearn. See you soon.